Hey legends, I'm here with Dr. Steve. Coronavirus is gripping the world with fear, stress, anxiety, and over this two-part video series, we want to help shed some light on what you can be doing to arm yourself and just ultimately prevent this illness from affecting you. Dr. Steve's an amazing chiropractor, researcher, applied kinesiologist, phenomenal man and scientist, and we're so grateful to have his time and energy here today.
Thanks, Nick. All right. So we're first going to describe what is a coronavirus. So a coronavirus is a spherical virus with these hemagglutinin projections called spikes. Now you can see quite quickly it looks like a crown, which is where it gets its name from. And inside it has a capsid with an RNA strand. So it's an RNA virus. Now the first SARS, sudden acute respiratory syndrome virus, was first described in 2002 and came out of Guangdong in southern China. So SARS-CoV-1 infected around 8,000 people, and it was quite virulent. It had a fatality rate of around 10%, which is really quite a scary type of virus, which is why when governments saw this second COVID-19, which is really SARS-CoV-2, which they call COVID-19, governments mobilized quickly and they were really scared that it would have the same sort of fatality rate. Thankfully it doesn't, but it is still very virulent. As of yesterday here in Australia, it had a 0.5% fatality rate, around the world over 4%. So it's still quite a virulent virus. The good news is that for 95% of people, they actually get a very mild form of infection and then they recover quite fast. It's for the other 5% that this is really quite a critical illness. Now, if we compare SARS, like some people are doing, to influenza, influenza has a fatality rate of around 0.1% of the population, which shows that COVID-19 is 5 times or more virulent as far as being lethal to the public, which is again why people are so worried about it. Now, when you're speaking, droplets come out and viruses can only survive in tissues. And so when you're speaking, the virus can be projected about 1 meter. So if you have social distancing of about 1.5 meters, you can prevent contracting this if those droplets land in your mouth or on your nose. So it has to get into an orifice. The other thing about viruses, which is different to bacteria, bacteria can move. You know, they have pili, they have flagellas, they can lay down liquid substances in which to move around. A virus can't, so unless it lands on you or in you, and unless I bring my mouth to, rub my nose, my mouth and my eyes, I have to physically move that virus into an orifice for it to infect me. So if I simply wash my hands with good hygiene, I can limit the effects of that virus transmission. The other thing is, if I sneeze or I cough, I should cough into my elbow, because if I cough, I can project those droplets about 4 meters. If I sneeze, they can go anywhere from 6 to 8 meters and stay in the air for about 6 minutes. And when I sneeze, I can spread about 20,000 particles at any one stage. So that's the importance of good hygiene. Cough into here, wash your hands, especially if you've got the urge to touch your face. Now, what happens if this infection gets into your body? If it gets into your body, it has an affinity for the ACE2 receptors. Now, ACE2 receptors are found in your intestine, in your kidneys, in your heart, and in your lungs. Now, if it gets into your digestive tract, it can cause a little bit of diarrhea, maybe some cramping, those sort of symptoms, but nothing much. If it gets into your kidneys, it's not going to be that serious apart from those people who are on dialysis or immunocompromised. The big part of where we're seeing problems with COVID-19 is when it gets into your lungs or affects your heart. So there is something called the ACE2 receptor, which is where we know that COVID attacks. There's also an ACE receptor. Now, an ACE receptor is another surface marker that causes vasoconstriction, causes blood vessels contract, which can increase blood pressure. So there are some people that are on ACE inhibitors to allow blood pressure to calm back down. And ACE2 is a vasodilator. So if I'm on an ACE inhibitor, it'll allow the ACE2 to upregulate and increase the effects of that ACE2. So if it's in the heart, the problem with that is it can cause left ventricular failure. If it's in the lungs, it'll increase a cytokine soup and a lot of fluid that will rush into the lungs to start to affect the local area, which can cause damage. The problem with that is that you can then get other things like pneumonias that come in and can cause other secondary illnesses. So that's basically what we wanted to explain about coronavirus, and then we're going to give you some tips as to what you can do to really look after yourself.